He's a name that still shakes the hearts of millions. Not just a name, but a heartbeat. When a child in a remote village raises his little hand in prayer, his lips whisper, Imran Khan. When a mother clutches her prayer beads at night, tears running down her cheeks, her dua is not for herself but for him. When a student sits in a crowded dorm, dreaming of a better future, he imagines Khan's words giving him courage. This is not ordinary love, this is devotion. His absence feels like an empty chair in the room. No one dares sit on it. His presence, on the other hand, is thunder. He walks into a place, and the air itself changes. Crowds don't just gather, they erupt. They don't just look, they cry, they scream, they chant his name like it's a prayer. Imran Khan, Imran Khan. From Lahore streets to the deserts of Arabia, from Karachi's rooftops to villages where electricity barely reaches, one name flows like a river. You hear it in weddings, you hear it in mosques, you hear it in tea shops where old men sit with newspapers always arguing, always hoping. London's royal circles remember him as the charming young man who stole the spotlight. New York's interviews remember him as the voice that stood tall, refusing to bend. But Pakistan remembers him as its son, its pride, its dream. There are legends who fade. Their memories turn into old black and white photographs that gather dust in family albums. But Imran Khan is not one of them. Decades after his cricketing glory, decades after his golden moments, his name is still sung louder than stadium cheers. He does not fade because the people don't let him. Mothers tell their children stories of the man who brought honor with a bat and ball, and then carried the nation's hope on his shoulders. Fathers talk about him at dinner tables, their eyes shining with both pride and pain. Youth paint his name on walls, wave his posters in rallies, and tattoo his initials on their hearts. Everywhere you go, whether it's a dusty truck on the highway, decorated with slogans, or a schoolboy's notebook filled with sketches, you'll find him. His name is etched, not just on walls, not just on books, but on souls. And when he speaks, people don't just listen, they hold their breath, they record his words, they replay them 1,000 times, because every word feels like it was meant for them. Every line feels like a spark lit inside their chest. His absence brings silence that feels heavier than stone. People miss him as if they're missing their own family. Crowds stand outside, waiting, hoping, crying, chanting his name for hours because even the thought of him gives them strength. Imran Khan is not just a leader, he is not just a star. He is a phenomenon, a man who electrifies crowds like no one else. A man whose life has been written not only in history books, but in the hearts of millions. Some say time fades all legends, but time has only sharpened his. He has lived through cheers, through hate, through exile, through glory, and yet the love has never dimmed. Imran Khan is the echo in a stadium, long after the match has ended. He is the tear in a mother's prayer, the dream in a young man's sleep, the chant that refuses to die down. And that is why, even today, even tomorrow, even years from now, he will be remembered. Imran Khan, the legend who refused to fade. They say, greatness is not measured by what you take from the world, but what you give back. For Imran Khan, his greatest gift to Pakistan wasn't just the glory of cricket. It was something far more lasting: the Shaukat Khanum Memorial Cancer Hospital. This hospital was born out of grief when his beloved mother lost her life to cancer. But instead of drowning in sorrow, Khan turned that pain into a mission. He dreamt of building Pakistan's first state-of-the-art cancer hospital, where the rich and poor could be treated alike, where even those with no money would not be turned away. At first, people laughed. A cancer hospital in Pakistan, free treatment for the poor. Impossible. But Imran Khan was not a man who believed in impossible. He went door to door, bazaar to bazaar, city to city. He stood in stadiums, in drawing rooms, even on dusty roadsides, with a donation box in his hand. He sold his own belongings. He asked everyone to share in this dream. One of his old drivers once recalled, Khan Sahib had millions of rupees in charity passing through his hands, yet one day he borrowed money from me for petrol. He smiled and said, "This money is the trust of people. I cannot touch it. This belongs to the people, to the patients." That was the honesty that made people trust him. From the poorest shopkeeper handing over a few coins to the world's richest families, everyone contributed. There are stories of children breaking their piggy banks, of farmers selling a goat, of mothers giving their jewelry. And there was Princess Diana, the people's princess, attending his fundraising events, her presence sending a message across the globe that this was no ordinary hospital, but a cause for humanity. When the doors of Shaukat Khanam opened in 1994, it wasn't just a building, it was a miracle. Families who had once prayed in despair now found hope. Mothers cried when their children were saved from cancer. Fathers who thought they would have to sell their homes walked out with their kids alive. Even today, people say, if not for this hospital, my child would not be here. But Khan didn't stop there. He had another dream: education. In the heart of Mianwali, among fields and dusty roads, he founded Namal University. His vision was clear: to bring world-class education to Pakistan's villages, to give the poor the same opportunities as the privileged. Standing before students in that quiet town, Khan once said, "True power is not sitting in palaces. True power is knowledge, and knowledge must reach those who have nothing." And so, from a son's grief came a hospital that saves lives. From a leader's vision came a university that builds futures.
Used to come to visit my younger sister. My mother always said, "Look, have a look at her and tell me if you find her attractive."
It's an important question. How do you feel?
When you ask people about Imran Khan, they don't just talk about politics or cricket. They tell you about the hospital where their child was cured of cancer. They tell you about the university that opened doors for their son or daughter. They tell you about a man who could have lived in luxury abroad, but chose to fight for the sick, the poor, the forgotten.
So many leaders have talked about climate change.
When Imran Khan took the oath as Prime Minister in 2018, he didn't see it as a throne. For him, it was a trust. He always said, real power is not in palaces, it's in serving the weak.
Prime Minister of Pakistan, we have many things to discuss.
That's why one of his first missions was the Isos Langar Khanas, places where no one in Pakistan would go to sleep hungry. Day and night, thousands of poor men, women, and children ate there with dignity. Khan's vision was simple. In a just society, nobody should worry about their next meal. Then came another moment that showed his heart. One day, while traveling by road, he saw people, exhausted workers, and travelers sleeping on the footpaths. That sight shook him. Right there, he announced the creation of traveler shelters across the country. Safe, clean spaces where strangers could rest with dignity. Too many, it felt like Pakistan finally had a leader who saw them, who cared for the invisible. But Khan's impact went beyond Pakistan's borders. In 2019, he stood at the podium of the United Nations General Assembly, and the hall fell silent. His voice carried both strength and pain as he spoke about Prophet Muhammad, Islamophobia, and the plight of Muslims worldwide. "Our love for the Prophet is stronger than life itself," he declared. That speech wasn't just politics, it was the cry of a nation. Millions of Muslims around the world felt represented for the first time in decades.
It is important to understand this. The Prophet lives in our hearts. When he's ridiculed, when he's insulted, it hurts. As we human beings understand one thing: the pain of the heart.
Unlike leaders locked away in palaces, Khan often walked the streets at night, sometimes without protocol, just to see the real condition of his people. He would stop, talk, and listen. A shopkeeper once said, "For the first time, we felt the Prime Minister wasn't above us, he was one of us." During COVID-19, when the world shut down, Khan refused to follow blindly. He said, "If Pakistan closes completely, the poor will die of hunger before the virus." His strategy of smart lockdowns saved both lives and livelihoods. Even global leaders admitted Pakistan handled the crisis better than expected. Business began to rise, IT exports grew, remittances broke, records. Pakistan was finding its place again. But then came the storm. Khan was removed. And many in Pakistan still believe it wasn't about politics. It was because powerful players, inside and outside, could not bear to see Pakistan standing on its own feet. They can't watch Pakistan succeed, people whispered in anger. To his supporters, Imran Khan wasn't just a prime minister. He was a symbol of hope, a leader who ate with the poor, prayed with the common man, and carried Pakistan's voice into the world. When you talk about Imran Khan, it's not just cricket, politics, or charity. There's always that extra layer: the whispers, the rumors, the stories people still debate over coffee. Back in London, long before politics, Imran wasn't just a sports star, he was the star. Paparazzi followed him like they did with Hollywood celebrities. Every night out at a club, every dinner in Chelsea or Knightsbridge made headlines. One of the most famous rumors, his connection with Princess Diana. She attended his fundraisers for Shaukat Khanum Hospital, and tabloids immediately began spinning tales. Was it just charity, or something more personal? To this day, some insist Diana admired him beyond the cause. Then came Jemima Goldsmith. Their marriage in 1995 shocked both Pakistan and Britain. The elite circles buzzed. Was it true love, or a fairy tale union between East and West? Rumors flew about her struggle to adapt to Pakistani culture, while others whispered that Imran's family didn't fully accept her. Even after their divorce, stories never stopped. Some said they still shared an unspoken bond. And Jemima's public defense of him only fueled those talks. But Jemima wasn't the only one. His alleged relationships with British heiresses, models, and journalists filled tabloids for years. Names like Susanna, Constantine, Sita White, and others were linked with him. The most controversial was the claim about Tyrion White, Sita White's daughter. Rumors that followed him throughout his political career, even used against him by rivals.
In front of my car and sitting in high office, I would have jumped in by now.
Parts of the world, he's only a hero. In Pakistan, he's a demigod.
Later, his marriage with Riham Khan turned into a storm of rumors. Their sudden wedding in 2015 shocked everyone, and within months, whispers of fights, mistrust, and cultural clashes spread. When the marriage collapsed, Riham's book added fueling scandals, affairs, and secrets. Supporters called it propaganda, critics called it truth. The mystery remains. Finally, his marriage to Bushra Bibi opened another chapter of speculation. The idea of a spiritual guide becoming his wife fascinated the media. Some said he found peace and faith with her, while others whispered about influence, mysticism, and even political calculations.
Life, politics, and even in sport. She was a great influence and she gave me a lot of love. I was very close to her.
For Imran Khan, rumors were like shadows, always following, sometimes ahead of him, never completely disappearing. To his fans, he was unfairly targeted. To his critics, the rumors were proof of contradictions. But either way, one thing is certain: Imran Khan's personal life was as much a headline as his public one. From BBC to CNN, Al Jazeera to Time magazine, Imran Khan wasn't just a Pakistani leader on air. He was Pakistan's voice of reason to the world. His Oxford intellect, cricket legacy, and unexpected charm gave him global appeal. At the United Nations, he did not bow into stock. He boldly addressed Islamophobia with grace and pride. On Al Jazeera, confronting allegations that he supported the Taliban, he fired back with clarity: greater than yes, they are. Anyone who kills innocent people are terrorists. On CNN, when asked whether the oppression in Kashmir was worse than what's being reported in Xinjiang, he paused, then said, greater than.
They want to remove the government because there was a problem with the economy, or they were worried about inflation.
Absolutely no comparison. That line alone echoes his fierce defense of his people. In a conversation with the Council on Foreign Relations, he praised China's poverty reduction and openly admitted, greater than I wish I could do that in my country. Raw honesty like that, rarest of rare. Time magazine sat with him via Zoom in 2023. Here's what stood out. He warned, they will bump me off and blame a religious fanatic. He blamed structural failures for Pakistan's economic crises, saying, we bought far more than we export. Only 2.5 million taxpayers for over 220 million people. He shared his cricket dream was part of a much bigger scheme to boost tourism and investment in Pakistan by bringing back international matches. There was also a packed event in Washington's arena, where he told his countrymen, Greater than people ask, where is Naja Pakistan? It is being created in front of your eyes. With that line, he turned a political catchphrase into a proclamation. Even in a casual setting, when comedy icon Moin actor joked Imran Khan in notebooks, in homes, on roads, aren't you tired? Imran smiled and replied, greater than
फैंस के जो टेलीफोन्स आते हैं तो इनको रिसीव कौन करता है और उसका ब्लड प्रेशर कितना ठीक है?
हाँ, 2-3 दफ़ा नंबर भी चेंज करवाया है, लेकिन मुसीबत यह है कि कई दफ़ा ऐसी वक्त पे कॉल्स आती हैं, अब कोई सोया हुआ हो, जगा दिया रात को 2 बजे कि जी आपसे बातें करनी है, इस तरह के, तो फिर वो लोग कहते हैं अगर सही तरह बात ना करें तो कहते हैं बहुत रूड है.
Then I thank God for this immense appreciation. These moments show Khan as more than a leader, as a storyteller, a fighter, and above all, a voice that resonated from Pakistani streets to global stages. Greatness always carries a price, and for Imran Khan, that price was prison. He wasn't arrested with respect. He was dragged. On May 9, 2023, footage shook the nation. Rangers stormed the Islamabad High Court, grabbed Khan by his collar, pulled him into an armored truck, a former prime minister treated like a criminal. Crowds watching on live TV gasped. In homes, people wept. On streets, chaos erupted. Inside the cell, unlike leaders before him, there was no luxury, no Shahi Durbar, royal court and jail. Past rulers had servants, AC rooms, and feasts. Khan had none. His cell was small, dim, and stripped of comfort. He slept on a hard cot. His health was fragile, yet he was denied basic medical care at times. Letters from his lawyers said the bathroom was broken, food was unhygienic, and he was kept in near isolation.
What has this been like for you guys on a human level?
It's been, it's obviously brutal.
And Solomon, what conditions do you believe your dad is now living in?
So he's in a very small cell. He has to...
But what broke hearts most was this. A man who once lifted the World Cup for Pakistan, who built a cancer hospital, who stood at the UN defending the Prophet Muhammad PBUH, was left to eat alone, in silence. His spirit, and yet, he did not break. Khan used that cell like a battlefield of patience. Every time news leaked that he had been denied visitors, that his books were taken, or that he was barred from pen and paper, supporters only loved him more. His message from prison was simple. My only crime is that I refused to bow down. The symbol of resistance. Outside the prison walls, seas of people gathered, women stood with Quran in hand, children waved flags, men shouted, Kantara ek ishara hazir, hazir lahu hamara. To them, he was not just a jailed leader, he was a prisoner of conscience. A modern-day Mandela. A man punished not for corruption, but for daring to dream of a free Pakistan. The contrast, others before him dictators. Politicians went to jail and turned it into a palace, but for Imran Khan, the cell was cold, bare, merciless. That was the punishment for being different. His only crime was standing up against an elite that couldn't bear to see Pakistan rise.
Assassination attempt on his life, and he said this.
No, you know, Piers, when I entered politics, I actually had conquered my fear of dying.
Prison bars can lock a man's body, but they cannot chain his spirit. Imran Khan entered those gates as a prime minister. He walks in history as something greater, a revolutionary. And even today, people are still waiting, eyes are still waiting, just for one glimpse of him.